All right, class. So this is my hand-drawn picture, and here you see a kidney, right, in black outline. Entering the kidney, you see an artery, and this is the renal artery. Renal artery. The renal artery enters the kidney, and it is dividing into 3 branches in this case. These branches are called segmental arteries. The segmental artery, if you trace, let's say this one, trace this one. At this point, these are called interlobar arteries. So this would be your interlobar artery. The interlobar artery, if you trace, make an arc, and at this point, it is called Arcuate Artery. From the Arcuate Artery, do you see these branches that come off? Like these branches. These branches are called interlobular arteries. Now, from the interlobular arteries, we have teeny tiny arterioles branching off, and those are called afferent arteriole. So right here, let me mark this with orange to be clear. So this arteriole, if you look, this arteriole is called afferent arteriole. Now the afferent arteriole forms a capillary bed. I'm just drawing this in purple. So do you see this capillary bed here? This capillary bed is called glomerulus. It is called this capillary bed is called glomerulus. And from the capillary bed, do you see there is another arteriole coming out? This one. This is called the efferent arteriole. That's the efferent arteriole. What is this efferent arteriole going to do? The efferent arteriole will then come, and do you see this black structure, black squiggly line? This is called a nephron. We will talk about nephrons in a bit. This is called the nephron. Now the efferent arteriole forms a second capillary network covering the nephron. And this second capillary network that is formed is called, so I'm doing both arteries and veins, this is called the peritubular capillaries. This is the peritubular capillaries. I'll just put cap here. And then this peritubular capillaries come together, join together to form a vein called interlobar vein, as I have drawn in blue. So the blue one is called interlobular vein. The interlobular vein then comes together to form arcuate vein, which runs parallel to arcuate artery actually. So that's the arcuate artery. The arcuate artery comes down and then comes down like this, and at this point it's called interlobar vein, and several interlobar veins come together to form the renal vein. So this is the renal vein. The only difference is that we do not have segmental vein. Remember, the renal vein, the renal artery enters the kidney and divides into 4 to 5 segmental arteries, but we do not have segmental vein. The interlobar veins come together to form renal vein. So that was my mini diagram. Now let's go back and take a look. If you look here, let's get started. Let's do this one more time. So we do see the renal artery. The renal artery branches to form segmental arteries, as you see here. The segmental artery continues along each lobe as interlobar arteries, then the interlobar arteries make an arc, and at that point they are called arcuate artery. If I have to label this, I'll just go like this: renal artery, segmental artery, interlobar artery, arcuate artery, interlobular artery. Okay. The interlobular artery then branches off right here to super tiny, and that's called the afferent arteriole. Not very well seen here. The afferent arteriole forms a capillary bed called glomerulus. From the glomerulus, you have another arteriole coming out, that's efferent arteriole. The efferent arteriole then forms a second capillary bed, which has two parts actually. Peritubular capillary, this is also capillary, and this is also capillary. So the efferent arteriole divides to form peritubular capillary and vasa recta, which comes together to form interlobular vein, as you see here. Right here, this is the interlobular vein. I should use a different color. Purple. This is interlobular vein, which then forms this part called the arcuate vein in blue. The arcuate vein then comes down, and this part is called the interlobar vein. Different interlobar veins come together to form the renal vein. So this was blood supply to the kidney. Now what we will do is, so we could not see the afferent arteriole, glomerulus, efferent arteriole, all these structures, remember? We did not see it. Now we will actually zoom into this part, and we will blow up that part and try to see all these structures. So right here, so we are looking, where are we looking into the kidney? We are trying to look at the junction between the renal cortex and medulla. All this is the cortex, and then do you see the darker color dome shaped thing? So this is the this is a pyramid. So this is highlighting, this is the space or the area is called medulla, right? So pyramid lies in the medulla. So here what we are doing is we are zooming in. So right here, if you look at the artery, this is the arcuate artery. From the arcuate artery, you have these arteries, and this is called interlobular artery. The interlobular artery branches to form this one, and this is called the afferent arteriole. This is called the afferent arteriole. The let me label this here. This is called the what's going on? Called the afferent arteriole. The afferent arteriole, as you can see, branch to form this capillary network. The capillary network is called glomerulus. From the glomerulus, you have the second arteriole coming off, and this is called the efferent arteriole. Efferent arteriole. The efferent arteriole, as you see, comes together, and the efferent arteriole actually branches off to form this capillary network, as you see in pink here, and that is called the peritubular capillaries. This peritubular capillary, it can also form, well, listen, if the second capillary bed is in the cortex, we call it peritubular capillaries. If the second capillary bed kind of dips down into the medulla, we call this one vasa recta. Vasa recta. So we have the second capillary bed, right? The first capillary bed was glomerulus. The second capillary bed is called peritubular capillaries or vasa recta. And then these peritubular capillaries come together to form this vessel. This is called the interlobular vein. Interlobular vein, which then comes together to form arcuate vein, which then comes down and forms the interlobar vein. All right. So I'm going to erase all this and then I'll talk a little bit about nephrons. I'll stop here and then I'll start making a new video.